Hi, welcome back to Nursepedia. My name is Malia and I'm a registered nurse. This is part 2 of my series on the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Travel Nursing. In my first video, I talked all about the requirements needed to get started traveling. So your certifications, medical documents, licenses, and all that information. So if you're interested in that video, I'll have a link in my description box. Before you even think about contacting agencies and recruiters, I think it's really important to understand the different types of contracts available so you can know what to look for and what's going to suit your needs. So that's why in the second video, we will be talking about the different types of contracts. So local, travel, and crisis assignments. So we will get started with regular travel contracts. So this is what everyone thinks about when they think about a travel nurse. These are 13-week assignments in which you are 50 miles away from your primary residence. And because you're working away from home, you qualify for a tax-free stipend, which is sometimes called meals and housing. Now, the 50-mile rule is an arbitrary rule that's kind of set up by agencies, and that's how they decide if you're able to qualify for a travel assignment. However, the IRS requires that you duplicate your housing expenses to qualify for this stipend. So that means that you have to be paying a mortgage or a rent at your primary residence, which is your house, for example, or an apartment. And you also have to be paying for a hotel or an Airbnb at the location that you're going to be working at. So sometimes that confuses people, so I'm going to be making a separate video on the 50-mile rule. But just know that in order to have a travel assignment, you have to be 50 miles from your primary residence and you need to be duplicating your housing expenses. So in order to get a travel assignment, you have to go through a nursing staffing agency. And you're not a 1099 employee, like an independent contractor. You are a W-2 employee that is employed through the nursing staffing agency and not through the hospital. And I think sometimes that confuses people. But for example, if you have an issue with your paycheck or something like that, you're going to be going through your agency and not the hospital. And that's kind of what some of the differences are between travel and local assignments. So with the local assignment, this is also a 13-week assignment. However, one of the biggest differences is that you can be in the same city as your permanent residence. So there's no required distance for this. You can live 5 to 10 minutes away from the hospital that you're wanting to work at. Now, because you're living in the same area as your permanent residence, you don't qualify for stipends. So this will be a fully taxed hourly rate, for example, like $80 an hour, and you will not be getting any stipends. And sometimes you can go through an agency for this because they can offer local assignments, but for the most part with these type of assignments that I've seen is that you go directly through a hospital to apply for this. So going through their HR website to apply for these types of assignments. And the biggest benefit with local assignments is that you don't have to travel far away and you can still get a good hourly rate and you can live, you don't have to pay for a hotel or an Airbnb, and that's a really great benefit. And the last type of assignment is a crisis assignment. So this is exactly how it sounds, an area is in a crisis. So for example, a natural disaster or COVID. And nurses have to be ready to deploy in 2 to 3 days. And these are usually short assignments, 2 to 4 weeks. And you do have to go through an agency as well to get a crisis contract, but you're deploying to an area of need. And these are usually fully taxed hourly compensation packages as well, because the agency is going to be fulfilling housing and transportation for you. And sometimes they do offer a stipend, but it's usually very low. So it's not going to be a $1,000 a week stipend, for example. So the last slide here is just going to show an overview of all 3 of the types of contracts that we talked about. So I hope this helps in clarifying the differences between these types of contracts, because often you hear local travel crisis, and I think it's confusing for a lot of nursing students and new nurses wanting to travel. So I hope you're able to use this information and make an informed decision on, do you want to stay in your city and take a local contract, or do you want to go, to Hawaii and have a great travel assignment? So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment box. And I hope you stay tuned for the rest of the series. So please hit the like button and subscribe if you're wanting to stay tuned to more information. So I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.